Welcome to Born to Win. I'm Brian Proctor, and I've created these podcast episodes around timeless principles that I learned from my father, Bob Proctor. And when understood and applied, these principles can change the direction of your life. Today's episode, it's a little different. Normally I keep these short, but this is a special edition episode taken from a recent live event, and I felt strongly that this message needed to be shared with you in full. Because there are moments in life when you don't need more information. You need a decision. You need to stop drifting. You need to ask yourself honestly, what do I really want? And then you need to start doing the uncomfortable things that move you in that direction. So as you listen today, don't treat this like background noise. Really listen. There may be one idea, one question, or one decision in this episode that changes the direction of your life. So let's get into it. Hello, everybody. I want to welcome all of you. I would like to challenge you to stop the drift, to stop just going through your days, day by day by day. I think that's a big thing that a lot of us do. I know I've caught myself doing it on many occasions. Something that comes out of my mouth is going to resonate with you in a deep way. So I want you to really listen. And if you come away with one thing, if one thing I say makes a difference, that you can alter the trajectory of even just today, take that to heart and really start to follow it, really start to do it. I'm going to share some stories with you, some different things that I think you can really take to heart and hopefully change your trajectory. Because, you know, if we change the course that we're on by a fraction of a percentage, man, great things are going to happen. I mean, picture being on an airplane and you're taking off from New York and you're going to Los Angeles. If that airplane changes its trajectory by 2 or 3 degrees, that's it. You know that place is, that plane is never going to see Los Angeles. They're going to end up probably in the North Pole. I don't know. But we can change our trajectory by just doing some little things, by altering our way of thinking just a little bit. It doesn't have to be dramatic stuff. And I think what I'm going to throw at you today isn't going to be dramatic. It'll be those little things. And in those little things, I think we can create just an absolutely magnificent life. We really can. So how do we stop the drift? I think in the first email that we sent out, I shared the story about how Corey and I first got together and how I was drifting in the relationship department. I was doing nothing. And I made a decision to step across that terror barrier and give Corey that phone call. I'm not going to go through that story right now because you got it in an email. But I want you to think about, what is that for you? What is that for you? What are you drifting on? What do you know that you should be doing, but you're not doing it? I really want you to think about that. You know, I remember so clearly my father from the stage. He would often say, we know what we need to do. We know that we got to step out across that terror barrier and do some particular something if we want a better life. We already know what we have to do, yet we're not doing it. And why is that? Why is that? What we need to find is our inner motivation, that inner something that is going to trigger us to cause us to do the thing that we already know we need to do. We already know how to do, but that we're kind of drifting on. We're sitting on it. And I'll get into some of those things in a minute. At the end of this presentation, I'm going to share with you what I believe is the number one thing that holds us back from getting all the things that we want in our life, from living our dreams. So I hope you can stick around to the end of this. If you're watching the recording, because I know there's several of you that couldn't be on live and you're watching this recording, wait until the end. And I'm going to share with you the one thing that I feel is the most important thing to actually alter our lives and to receive all the things that we desire. You know, if just wishing for a thing were enough, if just, you know, that the law of attraction, everybody thinks if you just wish for this thing, if you just think about this thing, it's going to come into your life. You know, if we received everything that we just wished for, we'd already be living the life we want. Think about it. It doesn't happen quite that way. We have to know that we're going to get that thing. We have to know, we have to live from that place. You know, one of the people that my father loved to study was Neville. And Neville had this philosophy that we need to live from the place that we want to be. We have to already see ourselves there. And that is a really important piece. You know, one of the things that I was drifting on, and I guess Corey was a little bit too, not to throw her into the mix of this, but several years ago, we had bought this property that we're in this home right now. We had bought a property and it was a different house that was here. We were living in Florida and we thought, you know, we could live here half the year, maybe in our summers and our winters in Florida. And we were kind of drifting on it. We were comfortable. That's the honest answer. How many of you are just kind of comfortable? You're just kind of getting by. Yeah, quite a few of you. Iris, good for you. Good for you for acknowledging that. We were comfortable. We could have spent our summers here and our winters in Florida and just done with what we did with the home that was here. But the home that was here was an interesting little home. It was, I guess, kind of patched and put together over 120 years. I think the original place started out at around 1901 or something like that. When we came in the front door to this house, if we were wearing a pair of roller skates, we would have rolled right out the back door and into the ocean. It literally had a slope to it. And it was the strangest thing, especially at night. You know, when you're in the dark, you're turning all the lights off and you're going to bed and you're walking on a slope. It was just the weirdest darn thing. Well, we were drifting. We were thinking, we could make do with this house. We'll maybe make a couple of renovations and everything else. We weren't going after what we really wanted. And I want to ask you, are you going after what you really want? What you really want? Or are you just drifting? Think about that. We all have deep desires. And so often, God, we put them in the back seat. And we think, oh, yeah, maybe I'll do that when this happens, when I get that promotion, when my business is doing better, when the kids are out of school, maybe when the kids are in school. I mean, we can come up with an excuse for just about everything. Well, Corey and I were coming up with excuses. We thought, this is comfortable. We can do this. But here's the deal. What we really wanted was an absolutely perfect house, a place that we could just really call home, that was done the way we wanted. And I remember sitting with my father at lunch. He came down to visit us when we were in Florida. And I was sitting with him in this restaurant, and it was just me and Dad. And my God, man, I can still remember this so clearly. The two of us sitting there talking. And he said, well, Brian, what do you really want? Because he could tell I was drifting. And I said, well, I'd really like to maybe tear the house down out west and build a new house. And he says, well, why don't you do that? And I started coming up with all the darned reasons why I couldn't do it. Who does that? Who thinks of what they want and you come up with all the reasons why you can't do it? Okay, I'm not alone. That's good to know. So I started coming up with all the reasons why I couldn't. And then he says, Brian, you need to start looking at how you can. So then I started coming up with, okay, if I was to do this and do that and create this side business and create this extra income, maybe then I could pull it all together. Well, if you know Bob Proctor, you've studied him at all, I think you'll know what happened. I got the look. And he looked at me and he says, Brian, he says, you're sitting here trying to figure out all the things you need to do. How many of you have that desire and you're trying to figure out what all you need to do before you take the first step to do it? That's a mistake. That's a big mistake. Because if you wait until you got it all figured out, you probably won't do it. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. Well, he looked at me and he said, Brian, what you need to do is make a decision. He said, you don't need to figure it all out right here, right now. You need to make a decision. And he looked at me and he just had those, I love my father. And I just think, man, he had those piercing eyes. And he could look right through me. If you've ever been in his presence, he can look right through you and he knows what's going on. And he basically said to me, Brian, what you need to do is make a decision. Quit trying to figure it out. Quit screwing around. That's what he said. That's the whole title of this book and this challenge basically comes from him telling me that many times over my lifetime. And if you've been in the audience of any of the seminars, he probably told you the same thing. He said, don't worry about what you got to do, how you got to do it. He says, you'll figure that out if you make a decision that you're actually going to do it. Now, who thinks that makes a little bit of sense? It's a little scary. I made a decision right then and there that we were going to do it. I went back and I remember sitting down with Corey and I said, you know what, honey, we just got to go for this. We got to do this thing and we'll figure it out along the way. And it was a little scary. We started this project and I remember clearly I was very naive. Corey had built a house before. I had not. I was very naive. We met with a builder. We found this really great builder who has since become a really good friend of mine. And the builder gave us a quote. He mapped everything out, charted it out, gave us a quote of what it was going to cost to do the house, and gave us a time frame for what it was going to do. And Corey basically said to me, Brian, it's going to be a lot more than that. It's going to take longer than that. I said, no. I said, this guy knows what he's doing. This is what it's going to be. I was Mr. Naive. Now, it's a good thing I was. Then, to boot, we started building and COVID hit. So we started building through COVID. Let me tell you, I think if any of you know, prices for everything went through the roof during COVID, especially lumber, went through the roof. It ended up costing us twice what we were quoted to build this place. And it took twice as long. Now, I'm actually glad it took twice as long because it gave us that much longer to come up with all the things we had to do to be able to pay for all that we wanted. But we are living in this place because we made a decision to jump through and do it. And we figured it out along the way.
I just want to add something here real quick, Brian, because that feeling was very scary. The how. We all do it. When we're going for something big, we get into how is this going to work? How are we going to make this work? And we would both get into that feeling, boy, how are we going to do this? I mean, costs were doubling. It cut a little nuts, to be honest with you. We always came back, and fortunately we had each other to coach each other through this. We always came back to the feeling. What is it going to feel like to be in that house? What is it going to feel like to have our family and friends in that house, enjoying this house with us? What is it going to feel like to have clients there with us? We always came back to the feeling. And that feeling really helped us to override those scary, scary thoughts of how are we going to do this? And we just kept taking a step and we just kept taking a step and figured it out along the way.
Thanks, honey. That's a great point. I didn't even think about that, but getting into the feeling of it is everything. I'm going to talk about entering into the spirit of it shortly, because that's another big piece. And some of you from Proctor's Principles, you got a good dose of that the other day. We decided to do it. We did it. We figured it out. You know, when we were building this place, we made a decision, certainly with my father's coaching, that we were going to do it exactly the way we wanted. We weren't going to skimp. We were going to build exactly what we wanted with the stuff that we wanted within the house, all the parts and the pieces and doors and trim and everything. We did it all the way we wanted. A custom kitchen that was built by an absolute master at carpentry, all hand done. We did it all, and we figured it out along the way. What are you sitting on? What one decision are you sitting on? Something that you want to go after, that you're not going after because you're trying to figure it out. I really want you to think about that. Now, imagine what it would feel like having whatever that is that you desire, being whoever that is that you desire, owning the company that you desire, doing the things that you desire. How does that feel? You know it feels good. When we just drift from day to day, not going after what we want, it's maybe okay, it's maybe comfortable, but my God, when you go after what you really want, you start to live a more fulfilled life. You really do. Corey and I are living in a place that we love. We travel a lot. We've gone all around the world. And every time we come back home, it's like, we live in the best Airbnb. You know, we get grounded the second we walk in the door. I mean, we love where we live. That's really important. It's because we went after our dream. We didn't just dream about it. We actually did something about it. We did something every single day that was going to help us get there. That's the important piece. That's really the important piece. Now, entering into the spirit of it, that is a really big thing. It's all about entering into the spirit of a thing. When you know what you want and you enter into the spirit of that thing, man, we become alive. We really do. So I'm going to read this little piece to you because I think it'll make sense as soon as I start reading. Thomas Troward, more than a century ago, wrote an essay on entering into the spirit. The idea is simple, yet it has the power to completely change the way you approach your goals, your relationships, your work, and even your daily life. What does it mean to enter into the spirit of something? Well, you know, I've noticed a lot of people, they go through life doing things without truly ever entering into the spirit of it. They participate physically, but not mentally. They show up, but they're not fully present. They go through the motions, but never connect with the spirit behind what they are doing. Think about this. Is this you? Sometimes you get into something and it's like, you're there, you're doing it. Boy, you're not really connected to it. You're not in the spirit of it. Maybe they've never thought about what it means. My father often taught that life is not merely about action. It is about the consciousness behind the action. I'm going to say that one more time because this is really important. My father often taught that life is not merely about action. It is about the consciousness behind the action. Two people can perform the exact same task and have completely different experiences. The difference is rarely talent. The difference is usually spirit. One person is fully engaged. The other is simply completing a task. Think about that. One enters into the spirit of what they are doing. The other merely goes through the motions. It's really an exercise of presence, making a decision or setting an intention to completely and fully be present in the moment that you are in. When you fully enter into the spirit of something, you're really doing, your results, they begin to change. Not because the world changes, but because you change. You are choosing to engage, to be present, to participate, to be where your feet are. This was something that my father demonstrated constantly. People would ask me, what made Bob Proctor different? Was it knowledge, his stage presence, his confidence? Certainly those things mattered. But if I had to choose one thing, I would say this. My father entered fully into whatever it was that he was doing. If he was teaching, he was teaching. If he was listening, he was listening. Wasn't thinking about how he was going to respond. He was listening. He was engaged. If he was studying, he was studying. He wasn't halfway in. He wasn't distracted. He wasn't somewhere else mentally. He entered into the spirit of the moment. Think of the importance of that. One of the things that Troward understood brilliantly was that life responds to the quality of consciousness that we bring to it. Doesn't that sound right? Think about it. Imagine two people beginning a fitness program. One approaches it as punishment. I have to do this. The other approaches it as growth. I get to do this. Same workout, different spirit, different experience, and I promise you, a different result. Or think about gratitude. Gratitude. Many people keep a gratitude journal because someone told them that they should. How many of you do that? How many of you have a gratitude journal just because somebody said, and I'm one of the guys who said you should. They write things down every night or every morning, check the box, and move on. They're not in the spirit of it. You will never attract great things into your life if you're not present and in the moment. When I write in my gratitude journal, man, I am present. I am in it. I am truly grateful for whatever it is that I'm writing down. And some days, and I know there's many of you, some days you're struggling. I got to not keep my hand up for too long. It'll raise my hand again. Some days it's going to be a struggle, but you still got to do it. And you have to enter into the spirit of it. Because when you do that from here and feel it, some days it might be just that cup of coffee in the morning. You can't think of anything else that's really good going on right now, but man, this cup of coffee, it's pretty good. It could be the simple little things. Enter into the spirit of it. Feel it. When you feel gratitude from here, not just as an exercise here, differences will happen. All kinds of things will happen. There is always going to be an ebb and a flow in life. Always. It's easy to do gratitude when we're up and things are going great. Everything's smooth. Man, we got tons to be gratitude for. But every once in a while, and all of us run into it, we're in that low. We're in that low. That's when it's the most important time to do it, to feel it, to enter into the spirit of it. Because when we can do that, not from here, but from here, it will get us out of that low one heck of a lot faster. It'll help us appreciate what we do have. Because so many times we're thinking, oh, life would be better if I had this and had this and had this, but you don't have it, so you think it's miserable. We're all living a great life. We've all got great things in our life. Sure, we'd like more. But boy, when we can really appreciate what we do have and feel the fulfillment for what we do have, let me tell you, we'll attract a lot more into our life, a lot more goodness. You need to connect with your emotions, heart-centered. Now, I want to connect this idea to self-image because I believe this is where many people get stuck. They intellectually understand the life they want, but emotionally, they remain attached to an old identity. Does that sound like you? We want to be a slightly different person, but we stay attached to our old identity. I'm going to talk about that in a second. They continue, but emotionally, they remain attached to an old identity. They want confidence, but they continue entering into the spirit of self-doubt. What do you think about that? They want abundance, but they continue entering into the spirit of lack and scarcity. And until the spirit changes, the results rarely do. My father taught repeatedly, you will never outperform your self-image. Now, why is that? Because your self-image determines the spirit from which you operate. It influences how you think, how you feel, how you speak, and how you act. Everything begins there. Think about an actor preparing for a role. The best actors, they don't simply memorize lines. They become the character. They study the character. They think like the character. They move like the character. They enter into the spirit of the role. We all know great actors like that. And because of that, the performance becomes believable and the audience feels it. Entering into the spirit of a thing, I am here to tell you, is one of the big secrets. It's not the biggest one. I'm saving that one for the end. But I would say this is the next biggest secret. When we can enter into the spirit of a thing, be there, feel it, man, magic opens up. My father had a phrase that he talked about often, and this really can come back to our self-image and how we can build our self-image. And that is this: act as if. Act as if. Act as if you are the person you want to be. Not in a fake way and not in an outrageous way. You can't go and say, I'm going to be a Jeff Bezos billionaire when you're struggling to pay the mortgage. You can't act as if, because your mind is not going to, it's too far of a gap. It's too far of a gap. You want to act as if you are the person you want to become. Now, can you do that all day, every day? No, probably not all the time. But here's the thing. This is something I learned from a book called Atomic Habits. Great, great book. In that book, the author talks about behaving like the person you want to be for just a couple minutes a day. Just a couple minutes. And then the next day, you maybe do it for 3 minutes. Next day, 4 minutes. You act as if you are the person you want to become. You make decisions like that person would make. You do the things that that person would do. You look at leaders, and I've often looked at other leaders, and I think, what would I like to take on that this person does? What attribute do I really appreciate from a particular person? I think of my father often. My father, man, he made a decision, he would just go. He didn't worry about the how. He just stepped into it and he started taking action. I feel like I have done that. I feel I've made that a part of my self-image. Now, was it always easy? No. But you have to start acting as if you are that person. Make decisions like that person would make. Talk like that person would make. Be that person. And as you do that, your self-image will start to alter. When we let go of some of the nonsense that holds us back, a lot of it is nonsense that we're hanging on to that we let form part of our identity, part of our self-image. I remember a long time ago, my kids were really little. when I got divorced. I was letting the defeat of a divorce, the failure of a divorce, form a little piece of my identity. Now, fortunately, I didn't let that happen for very long. But there's a lot of us that have had something bad happen to them that let you form, you take it on as part of your identity. I have since learned that when we let go of the nonsense, some of the things that we don't have control over, some of the things that maybe we didn't choose, we don't let it become a part of our story. Man, when we can let that go and start being who we want to show up, that's how we start to alter our self-image. Don't let the crap from your past determine who you can be in the future. Like, I am not my thoughts from the past. I am my thoughts for who I am now and who I choose to be. We have this stick man. Any of you that have followed my father, the stick man is a wonderful thing. So many people allow their outside circumstances, their current conditioning, dictate the way that they think. And when they let that dictate the way they think, guess what they're doing? They're impressing those ideas into the subconscious. And our subconscious is like our engine. It just makes us run. We do whatever is programmed in here. So if we're letting our outside circumstances, our current results that maybe aren't where we want them to be, let that dictate all of the space up here that we just keep impressing, guess what? We're going to keep attracting more of the same. We're going to keep doing more of the same. We're going to maybe keep that drift going on. Here's what we need to know. We don't have to let our old thoughts, our old patterns dictate how we are from this moment on. This moment, it is simply a decision. Now, is it an easy decision? Maybe not. Maybe not. But it is simply a decision. And a big part of this, and a big part of how you can alter this, is the piece I'm saving for the very end of this presentation. But here's the deal. If you start thinking about how you want your life to be, you sit back and you let your imagination, one of our mental faculties, you let your imagination start picturing the life you want to live, who you want to be, the kind of Cindy that Cindy wants to be, kind of Gerben that is showing up the way he wants to show up, the way Richard wants to show himself every day, the kind of business he wants, how Dan Hoover shows himself every day, how he's helping people all around the world, the way Sarah comes alive every day doing the things that she wants. You start picturing yourself living the way that you want, and you keep impressing that picture into here. You keep impressing it. Slowly, it will start to alter the way you are. It'll alter the way you show up. And when that starts to happen, your results, your circumstances will start to alter. They will start to change. That's how we create change. It's an illusion to let our current circumstances dictate the way we think. We'll stay where we always are. That's what we do. Man, we got to take control of this thing that we call our mind. Because when we can take control of our mind, we will take control of our actions. We will take control of what we do in a day. We'll step out of that comfort zone. We'll start doing things that we know we should be doing. Make sure you're going after what you want. Now, Tommy, my friend, I will forever thank you, Tommy, for this lesson. We were at a retreat in the Dominican Republic. We've done a couple of them now. And Tommy did this exercise on our first dinner. And I have never heard of this exercise before. This was something new. I think, Tommy, I don't know if you heard it from somewhere else, or if you just came up with it. You got to tell me that first. Did you just come up with this?
I just came up with it.
Man, you rock. So we're at dinner and we're all sitting around the table. And Tommy brought out a money clip with $5 million in it. $5 million. So I want you all to imagine right now, okay, you're all sitting here right now. I want you to imagine that I'm reaching through and I'm giving you this $5 million. All right? I haven't seen anybody taking it yet. Come on. There we go. You've been given this $5 million. All of your needs are already met. All of them. I know some of you are got a mortgage to pay. You got car payments. You're maybe behind on a couple of things and you're struggling a little bit. All of that's taken care of. Okay? All of it's taken care of. And I've just given you $5 million. There's one rule. You have to spend it today. You have to do something with it today. What would you do with it? Kidda, how about you? What would you do with it? Sally, you got a big smile on your face. I think you got a good idea what you're going to do with your $5 million. Natalie, how about you? What are you going to do with your $5 million? Now, here's my challenge for you. There is something that you would do instantly, isn't there? Why don't you go after that? Why don't you go after that? You don't need me to give you $5 million to do it. You can make a decision. You can step out and do it. Now, here's what's going on. Because I know, I've been there. I've had my father do something similar to this to me. And I just love this exercise that Tommy has given me. Here's what's happening right now for probably 95% of you, maybe 99% of you. You are instantly recognizing your limiting self, your limiting doubts, your limiting beliefs, the reasons why you can't do it. Who's got a reason why they can't do whatever it was that they just had their $5 million for? Lots of you. We need to recognize when we have these limiting beliefs and start to put those aside and start to think, what is the opposite of that limiting belief? That's how we start to empower ourselves. What is the opposite of that limiting belief? I'm sure all of you had something magical you do with that $5 million. Now, there's probably a few of you here that $5 million is no big deal for. And there's others that it's a huge deal. But what would you do with it? And why aren't you going after that? Now, there's probably a couple of you here that are going after it, but I know there's a lot of you that aren't. Why not? Don't let those limiting beliefs stop you. So, you know, Corey and I are living in our dream home. I don't plan on ever leaving this place. I love this place. I love coming home to this place. I love sitting out on the deck and watching the seals and whales and all the birds, all the different things. I love this place. If I allowed my limiting beliefs to override what I would do, we wouldn't be here. What a shame that would be. What are those limiting beliefs that are holding you back from going after whatever that is for you? This is when my father would look at me clearly and say, Brian, quit screwing around. So Sally, quit screwing around. Go after what you want. Let me scroll through here. Rafael, it's time for you to quit screwing around. You got to go after what you want and go after it. Deborah, I know you got big dreams. Man, you got to start going after it. Frederick, how about you? Go after what you want. Lisa, I can tell you got some big dreams. Man, I love those glasses. Go after what you want. Quit screwing around. That's what we have to do, people. We've got to make a decision for what we want, and we got to go after that thing. And when we go after that thing, I am here to tell you, we open up a whole new world of possibility. We open up a whole new world of what our life can be like. And it is magical. It is truly magical. Many of you know, and some of you don't. My father, I was gifted with the ability to be with him through his final days of life, for sure. Dad and I would hold hands for hours upon hours. And it was, my God, it's moments that I will treasure. I thank Corey every day. I have a favorite picture of myself and my dad that we use in a lot of our marketing, the two of us standing together. We're at an event and it was just a fun moment. If you've ever had pictures taken with my father, he has a tough time smiling. And a lot of times it looked like a bit of a growl. Well, he had this just smile. And it was just, man, we were so happy. We were having such a great time. That was my favorite picture. I have a new favorite picture. And I thank Corey for this. And that was just our two hands holding hands. We spent a lot of time his last few days just holding hands and talking. And Dad always said to me, he said, Brian, keep talking to me. Keep talking to me when I'm gone. I'm going to be gone soon. And I won't be gone. I just won't be here. And keep talking to me and listen, and follow what you hear. Call that intuition. He said, you know, when we pray, we're speaking to God. Intuition is when God is speaking to us. If we can learn to listen to our intuition and follow it, go after what your intuition is telling you to do. I know a lot of you have an intuition is telling you what you should be doing, what you should be going after, but you're letting your limiting beliefs stop you. You're letting those paradigms on your shoulder. You know, those little guys and girls that speak into you and whisper, who are you to think you could do that? You're letting them dictate what you do. Stop that. Stop it. Quit screwing around. Listen to your intuition and follow it.
Well, I just want to add something here, Brian, because that question, what do you want? What do you really, really want, that we all associate with Bob Proctor? When he asked me that question, I couldn't answer it. It was huge. I couldn't even think. I couldn't think beyond my daily needs, what I was doing. And I remember sitting with your father and he said, what is it? What's holding you back? Tell me what's limiting you. And I realized that I couldn't identify what I wanted because what was interfering was this idea. Could I still be a good mother? Could I still be a good friend? Could I still be a good daughter? Could I still be all these things if I went after what I really wanted? And your dad helped me to see none of that matters. Those were limits I was putting on myself. And it really helped me clear the way to identify what it was I wanted. This is really important, especially if you're someone who is used to taking care of everyone around you, which was definitely my role. You have to clear that smoke. You really have to clear it and go deep inside. You have to go inside, get curious about what it is you truly want. And I remember your dad saying to me, do you really think you won't be a good mother if you go after what you want? Do you really think that's going to happen? And of course it wasn't, but it was a good excuse. It was a good excuse for me not to make big changes in my life. So I just want to put that out there as someone who came to this material as an adult and really did the work and made the changes. That question, it's not always easy to answer. And if it's not easy to answer, you have to do the work to figure out why it's not easy to answer, to really get to it.
Thanks, honey. That's a great point. That is a really good point. Here's something that I learned off of that is that when we go after what we want, we start showing up as the person that we know we can be. We start building that business that we've always dreamed of. We build the home that we've always wanted. We do whatever that is for you. Do you know when you do that, you will bring along a whole, altered his life. I was lucky. I got to go along for the ride. You know, he was given that book, Think and Grow Rich, in October of 1961. That was when he started altering his life. He started dreaming, what could he do? How much better could he be? And man, did he create a whole different life. I was born in December of that year. I got to be there for the entire ride. I met Bob Proctor when I weighed all of 4 pounds, and I'm very glad that I was there for that entire ride. He was altering his programming. He was changing the way he thought, which probably is like a lot of you. You know, I feel like I'm fortunate. I felt like I was probably a Bob Proctor experiment because while he was altering his way of thinking, he was programming mine. Now, is mine perfect? Absolutely not. Do I have doubts? Absolutely. But I know this, I don't let my doubts stop me any longer. I go after what I want. And when we go after what we want, we become a fuller version of ourselves. When we become a fuller version of ourselves, let me tell you, your husband, your wife, your kids, your brother, sister, parents, man, they're going to like, whoo, what is Jim doing? I love that. How about Darlene? Man, she's making it happen. You will bring along people that are just going to be like, wow, I want on this ride. That's what happens when you go after what you want. And you got to step into it, taking messy action. And that is not waiting till everything's right. Don't wait until you got the whole plan. Because if you do, you'll probably never do it. Step into it. Take the step that's in front of you right now. Don't worry about what all you need to do. Because if you worry about all the things you need to do, you'll probably never do it because you'll never figure out all you need to do. The only way to find that out is by making a decision and then stepping into what you can do today. And then tomorrow you step into the same thing. And you keep doing that. And as you do that, you'll learn along the way. Man, you'll become a fuller version of yourself. You become better at whatever it is that you do because you're focused on the day. You know, I talked about that whole entering into the spirit of it. It's such an important piece. It's so important. We need to enter into the spirit of whatever it is that we're going after in however we go after it. When we get into the present moment and enter into the spirit of that thing, that's when the magic happens. That is when we create change. That's when we alter our life and we alter the lives of everybody around us. It's all possible. Now, I'm going to bring Tommy on. Tommy's going to talk about, and we've got several people here that are in our Proctor's Principles. We're going to share with you what Proctor's Principles are all about. And we've also got a live event that we're hosting that we want to share with you. So I'm going to have Tommy just share a little bit about that. And then after Tommy's done that, I'm going to come back on and I'm going to share that one thing that I've been leading up to. I'm going to share that one thing that I know is the number one deal that will make all the difference in your life, that will help you live the life that you truly desire. I'll share that after this. So Tommy, I'm going to throw it to you for a minute.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it. All right, my friends, we're going to slow this down for a second. Just a little pause. Just take a breath with me for a second. Okay. So what Brian has been sharing here, this is not theory, or should I say it's no longer theory. Okay. It's not more motivational fluff circling in your feed on the internet. It's not think happy thoughts and maybe the universe will DoorDash your dream life to your front porch. That would be convenient, right? I would like that. But that is really not how this works. And what Brian just gave you is the real thing. It's the real deal. And when you stop drifting, even for a few days, even just taking one little action, right? You feel different. When you tell yourself the truth, the doorway to possibility opens up. When you take one actual tangible action, something wakes up inside you and in your world. So now the question is not, can I change? The question now is, will I keep becoming this person I desire to be, or will I quietly drift back? And I say that with all the love in the world, truly, because we all know how this goes. We start, then we stop again. Well, no more. Who's with me? No more? Okay, so we ain't doing that no mo. You have some momentum now, okay? You're on the runway, ready for takeoff. So super quick before I invite you into what we've got for you, I just want to say something personal here for a second. So I'm someone who is a student of this work as well, just like you. When I found Bob's material back in 2016, I had some, success on paper. I'd been working in television. I had some Emmy Awards. I had skills. I had a business going. But I also had this feeling of, there has to be more purpose underneath all of this. So I invested in Bob's work. I began studying every day. I set real goals. I started taking daily action. I became a very serious student, a real client of Bob's way before I ever became part of his team. And what happened still blows my mind. My business grew to the tune of $30,000 a month plus in a matter of weeks. My identity changed into someone who saw possibilities everywhere. And I started becoming the kind of person who could actually do the thing that I wanted to do. Eventually, I realized I wanted to work with Bob directly on his team, and I was blessed to be able to do that for the last 4 years of his life as his creative director. So when I tell you that what we're about to invite you into matters, I'm not just trying to pitch you, okay? This has shaped my whole life. And I could be working on the next Emmy right now. Okay, right? But I'm not. I'm here. What we are doing in here is so important. So without further ado, we have 2 invitations for you. And I want you to listen to these carefully in a certain way, okay? Don't listen from, what am I buying or what do I get? How does it work? What are the gadgets, bells, and whistles? Because honestly, none of that matters, okay? Those are just the little incidental details. What matters is the answer to the question, who am I becoming? And will this help me be that person? Because that is the real decision that you're making here. Okay, so first invitation is for Proctor's Principles on Demand. And this is our incredible, super inexpensive for what you get and who you become lifetime offer. Now, I want to be very clear. This is not just about more information. This is not just another program to sit dusty on your digital program shelf. You probably already have information. You have books, you have podcasts, you've got a whole YouTube full of things and courses that you've bought. Okay, videos saved somewhere that you absolutely swear you're going to watch again someday. You have enough information to wallpaper your house in wisdom and still avoid the one thing that you need to do. The issue you and the rest of the world has is installation of this material, okay? You must install these principles into every fiber of your being. That is where Proctor's Principles shines. EP is the daily structure that helps these principles become your way of operating, your daily go-to, your modus operandi, your friend for the long haul. And with this lifetime offer, we really mean long haul. It is the place you return to again and again until the ideas stop being something you admire and start becoming something that you live. Because there is a very big difference between knowing the principles and embodying the principles. There's a very big difference between wishing and doing. And that is what this is really about. Becoming a person who makes scary and exciting decisions, who takes action, who notices the old patterns and says, nope, next. It's about becoming a person who studies and applies and makes moves. I want to give you an example. Christina waved all. She came into Proctor's Principles after losing her mother, who was a good friend. She was in pain. She was resistant. She even said it felt like too much positivity at a time when she was carrying the most pain she had ever felt. But she kept showing up. She joined the calls. She let the community love her, and she loved it right back. She studied. She did the work even when she was healing. And the gold and all that, she says that she went from feeling completely devastated to feeling her mom with her every day. And the dream that she had carried since she was 15 years old, she did it. She launched her business. She took the big scary leap. Bravo, Christina. So she's proof that this is not just more information. This is transformation. Hi, there she is. Hi. All right. Another great example for you. Karen, she said she was at rock bottom. Those were her words. She had lost a business, all her money, and a relationship that she thought would last. And then Brian said something to her that changed the frame. Brian said, Karen, you are not having an identity crisis. You are having an identity rebirth. And boom, that clicked. She went on to do the work like Christina, and she started building again. And now she says that she has a clear vision, a clear goal. She feels like she can do anything. She's in the process of building a brand new business as we speak. And that is what happens when a person stops defining themselves by what fell apart and starts becoming the person who builds from a new identity. And that is Proctor's Principles in living color. One last example for you now. Ricky. Hi, Ricky. Wave. Ricky says that he had spent around $100,000, there's Ricky, on personal development over the last 5 years, studying with all the big names. So he was not new to this world. He had all the information. He had even been in person in some of the rooms. He was doing the work. But when he came into Proctor's Principles, something was different. His realization was, I have learned a lot of tactical stuff, but I'm still ready for something deeper. So he showed up applying Brian and Corey's coaching, letting the principles become part of how he lived every day. And now he's truly an upgraded version of himself. He stepped through the terror barrier, moved from the UK to Canada, to his dream city, met his dream girl, and is building his dream business. And he's not just fantasizing anymore. He's literally living the dream. So Proctor's Principles, it works. Now, here's one of many reasons to get on this now, okay? Because the lifetime access offer for Proctor's Principles on Demand is about to expire. In fact, we are going to close the doors to this completely for an indefinite period of time at the end of this month. And why? Well, because this work is evolving. This program is evolving. The value is growing. We've been doing this for 2 years straight now. We're adding more, we're refining more, we're building this into something even more amazing. And so as the offer evolves, the way people access it is evolving too, which means when you come in now, you don't just get what is there today. You get the best of what is there today, and you keep receiving the best of what is added forever, okay? You get the monthly live call with Brian and Corey for life, not for a restricted window like you're used to seeing. It's not a membership. No, it is for life, lifetime access, one-time payment. There will be moments 6 months from now when life gets loud again, maybe even next week, okay? There will be moments a year from now when a new goal stretches you. There will be moments when fear tries to talk you out of the next version of your life. And Proctor's Principles is there. We will be here. Okay. That is why I keep saying this is your friend for the long haul. And if this week helped you make some moves, even small, Proctor's Principles on Demand helps you keep becoming. So that is the invitation number one. Okay. So good. Now, the second invitation is Proctor's Principles Live in Toronto, happening August 25th through the 28th. This one is a different kind of invitation. Proctor's Principles, the program that was just talked about, that's your daily structure. It's your always here container to keep returning to. But being with us live in Toronto, that's your acceleration pedal. So I think, it's Mazda, the car company, with their TV commercials where they say zoom, zoom, right? Zoom, zoom, but not on Zoom, in person. In a real life in-person room in Toronto. Toronto represents a new energy field. And I want to explain this because it is important. You can hear the same information sitting in your living room, in your office, on your couch, at your desk, at work, whatever it is. But when you are physically in a new environment with the right people, making real moves, something different happens. It does not hit the same. It does not sink in the same. It does not land in your nervous system in the same way. In fact, it's really hard to describe unless you've experienced it before. I have many times. It is different. If you've ever been in a seminar with Bob Proctor, you have a pretty good idea of what I'm talking about. And if you haven't, then you don't, and you need to take my word for it. Okay. There is something that happens when you put your body in a room that matches the identity you are stepping into with other people doing the same thing. Now, hopefully you love your home, but, and there's a big but here, your routine at home has anchors. Your kitchen table has anchors. Your normal life has all these little invisible cues that keep reminding you who you have been, not where you're going. So when you step into a new physical environment with people who are also on that journey with you, you get pulled into a different field. And this might sound a little woo-woo, okay, but it's not just woo-woo because it is that, but it's also the science of how we humans work. Environment matters so much. Proximity matters a lot, and energy matters. Nothing shifts you quite like being in the right room at the right time with the right people. And that is what Toronto is. And the icing on the cake, you want to know what the icing is? The last day in Toronto, we will all step foot into Bob Proctor's home studio. That is right. It is such a magical place. You get to hang out where so much magic happened for so many people, all of us together. Trust me, it really, really feels different there. And I don't know how long that opportunity is going to be available. This is like, could be a once in a lifetime thing, honestly. So when we invite you to Toronto, we are not saying come sit in a hotel ballroom and collect more notes. No. We are saying come step into the room where the next version of you gets activated. Come be around people who are no longer available for drifting. So that is invitation number 2. So again, Proctor's Principles on Demand is your daily structure, and Toronto is your acceleration pedal. Got it? Okay, now let me help you know if one or both of these invitations are for you. If you are sitting there thinking any of these things, like I loved this week, but I already feel how easy it is, or would be to slip back, Proctor's Principles on Demand. Get in it. Okay. It keeps you coming back. If you are thinking, I need something I can return to every day, so this becomes my way of life, that's Proctor's Principles on Demand. That's for you. If you are thinking, I'm done consuming information and I'm ready to embody the principles, same answer, Proctor's Principles on Demand. Now, if you are thinking, I need to get in a different room, I need an energetic reset, I need to get more connected to people in person, who are working and doing these kinds of things, who are, actually doing this. I need to feel the next version of me in my body, not just understand it in my head from my living room. Then Toronto, that's for you. And for some of you, the honest answer is going to be both. You need the daily structure and the immersive acceleration. You need the thing you return to at home and the room that upgrades what home feels like when you return. So Proctor's Principles on Demand is the rhythm and Toronto is the rocket fuel. All right. So no matter what decision you make, just realize this. The decision you make today becomes the environment you live in tomorrow. So here's the real question. It's not, can I afford this? Where's the money going to come from? How am I going to do this? Yada, yada, yada. It's, or do I have time for this? Right? Those are valid, practical questions. You should be wise, of course, but they should not be the first questions. The first question is, who am I becoming? And then what support does that require? 6 months from now, will you be saying, that was a great week, I wish I had kept going? Or will you be saying, that was the week I made the decision. That was the week I stopped visiting my future self and started becoming that person, like Christina and Karen and Ricky and so many others. All right. So if Proctor's Principles on Demand is your next step, we've got the link below for you here in the chat. Join us now. If Toronto is your next step, another link in the chat. Get yourself in the room. There's only a few seats left. Now, if you know that your heart is calling you towards both, get in both and then get to work. Okay. That's what we have for you. So Brian, I want to know what this final secret is.
Thanks, Tommy. Thanks for sharing.
He wouldn't tell us.
Before
the call, we're like, what is this? What's the big secret? What are you going to share? And he's like, you're just going to have to wait and see.
It's true. I wouldn't even let them know. First off, thanks, Tommy. Thanks for sharing that. One thing I've got to say right now is that for all of you here, we've got a lot of people that are already in Proctor's Principles right here. They didn't have to be here today. And quite frankly, I know some of them are here just to support us. And I want to thank all of you that are already with us. You all have been a gift to both myself, yes, Angie, to Corey, to Tommy, and to Trace. It's been a wonderful experience. It really is. Toronto, I don't think you mentioned this, Tommy. Toronto is going to be a very unique experience. It is a live event. We have not done a live event in over 6 years. I can't believe I'm saying that. So this will be the first live event we've held in 6 years. And it is going to be special. I have modeled it after my favorite event that my father held called The Matrix. And it will really get you honed in on what you want, what you need, that will help you to get what you want, and getting help to make it happen. And then obviously ended off in my father's studio, which really is a magical place. That live event, this is not a free-for-all open up to 1 million people. It's going to be 50 people. We are capping it at 50 people. So I think we're already over halfway sold.
I just want to add also, if you've ever been to an event or streamed a paradigm shift, you have a little bit of understanding of what these are about. This is going to be top shelf because we have Gina Hayden, Bob's personal assistant for over 36 years, planning this event. So, and she only does top shelf. So it's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to it.
Thanks, Corey. Okay, so the big thing, the big lesson. I know a lot of you have waited for that. And I really want you to listen to it because I'm not just sharing words with you. I'm sharing with you what I've done, what I've experienced, and what I've done for the last 4.5 years. I'm not going to share anything with you or try to teach anything that I'm not willing to do myself. So this is what I have come to learn is the biggest thing that will help get you to whatever it is that you desire. And that is this, the ability to do the uncomfortable things constantly, stepping through that terror barrier and doing things that are uncomfortable constantly, not just once in a while. If you want to live the life that you dream, you have to get out of your comfort zone. And by doing things that are uncomfortable consistently, I promise you, your life will change. That's the big deal. Albert E.N. Gray had a great essay. It was called The Common Denominator of Success. And this I have shared many times. It is simply this: form the habit of doing things that failures don't like to do. That's it. So in another way, what is that? That is stepping in and doing the uncomfortable things. I talked about intuition. I talked about my father saying, keep talking to me, keep talking to me. I talk to him every day. Obviously, our relationship has changed. He's not here in the physical self, but I know he's still here. I feel him all the time. I listen to my intuition so deeply because of what he shared with me at the end of his life, deeper than I ever have before. Your intuition is already telling you certain things. It's telling you to do things. Are you listening to it? And are you stepping out of your comfort zone? So in the last 4.5 years, I have listened to my intuition. I mean, perfectly. It has challenged me to step out of my comfort zone more often than I care to say. I stepped out every single time. I am forever getting uncomfortable. Do you know, the last 4.5 years, I'm living a life way bigger than I have ever lived before because I'm willing to get uncomfortable. And that is my challenge to every single one of you. You all know what you need to do, and it's uncomfortable. I know. I'm doing it all the time. Step into the uncomfortable. Do what's required. Step across that threshold of fear. We had a fellow, Kyle Cease was his name. He came and spoke at one of our events many years ago. And God, he had this quote, this saying that just was everything. He said, you can't measure what you're going to gain by going after what you want, by stepping through that uncomfortable zone. The only thing you can measure is what you're giving up. So many of us will stay in mediocrity because we know what we got. It's comfortable. Man, that's a shame. You'll never know what you're capable of until you step through that. Go after what you really want. Step into the uncomfortable. And as you do that, you open up a whole new world. I've done that to such a degree the last 4.5 years that I'm certainly living a different life. I know Corey's living a different life. There's so much has happened because I am willing to get uncomfortable, not just once in a while, but every day. And there's a few of you that I have regular conversations with, and you know that I do it. It's not easy, but when you can step into the uncomfortable, your life will never be the same. So make a decision, Lisa. Make a decision, Marie, Ganilla, Cindy, Gerben, Tom, all of you. Go after what you want. Step into the uncomfortable. You're dead center in the middle of my screen right now. You have been around since we first released our first book. I have watched you step into uncomfortable, and I love it. I love it because I know things are changing for you. Man, when we can all start doing that, life becomes magical. You know, something I learned about great leaders is they want everybody to thrive. Everybody. We've all got to thrive. I truly want everybody to thrive. And I think it's important. We've got to do the thing that just make our hearts sing. So what is that for you? Make a decision and start stepping into it. Do what you can today. Don't worry about planning it all out. Don't worry about mapping it all out. Now, I'm not saying be frivolous and be irresponsible. That's farthest from what I'm saying. What I'm saying is step into what you can do today. Step across that terror barrier and start being the person that you know you can be. Because when you start being that person, your life will change. But even better than that, the life of all those around you will change. That's magic.
You know, Brian, I like to think of this as big stretch, big growth. And we choose, Brian and I choose to face that every day. You know, every day you come to a crossroad. You can go left or you can go right. It's always there, right? Think of it this way. Left is your conditioned path. It is the path of least resistance. It's what you've been doing forever. It's comfortable. It's easy. You don't even have to think. But going right, those are new habits. That is where it's uncomfortable. That is intentional. Those are things you are doing because you want something different in your life. And you have to be aware. You have to be aware that you're not going to take that easy way all day, every day, that you're going to create new habits and you're going to go right. And yes, you do bump up against walls, but that's okay because we are going to show you how to go through them. And going through them is the only way to get to the other side. You know, Brian, you said something about great leaders. Great leaders want everyone to succeed. I believe that is why we have such an amazing community. That's why so many people from our community are here today because of the leadership. You can feel it. You can feel how much we want transformation for everyone involved with Proctor's principles. It is a community like no other. They support each other. They cheer each other on. It's a very special thing to not only be a part of, but to witness. It really is.
You know, we're going to close this up now, but what we're doing right now, quite frankly, is because I was willing to get uncomfortable. I never thought I'd be doing stuff like this. I never thought I'd be doing a live event. Corey and I could sit on the back deck and just watch nature. We chose to do something different. We chose to get uncomfortable. And boy, am I ever glad we did. Am I ever glad we did. I know my Father is smiling at what we're doing. I know he is, because we're doing it from here. We're doing it from the right place for the right reasons. So I hope you'll join us. I hope you'll take part in whether it's Proctor's Principles on Demand, or if you want to come and join us live in Toronto. It'll be a small group and it's going to be a magical event. I hope to see you at one or the other. I want to thank you very much for being here today. This has been a joy. It's always fun sharing some of these things. I didn't get into half of the stories that I wanted to share, but I guess that's part of the process. So thank you very much for being here today. And Tommy, I guess you've got a little something you want to play here at the end. So I appreciate you being here.
What would happen in your life if you were the best version of you every single day?
All the great leaders, all down through history, have been in complete and unanimous agreement that you and I become what we think about.
In a universe where destiny intertwines with the power of belief.
What I'm talking about is moving your mind into a higher vibration, developing a higher consciousness, and you can literally attract all the good that you want.
I've always said I think I live a charmed life, and that really is because I had Bob Proctor as a father. I got to learn from him in ways that you don't learn from a book. I got it firsthand from somebody who was really one of the founders in the business.
We're all working with one power, one law. It's attraction. The secret is the law of attraction.
Joining us now is Bob Proctor, New York Times best-selling author, lecturer, and counselor. He's been described as preaching the gospel of positive thinking and maximizing human potential.
Growing up, my father didn't just teach me, he programmed my mind for success.
Keep reminding yourself that you have tremendous reservoirs of potential within you, and therefore you are quite capable of doing anything you set your mind to. You really can.
If you can see it, you can do it. The beautiful truth is you can do anything. If you can see it here, you can hold it here.
My father instilled in me the belief that anything is possible if you set your mind to it. And it's now my mission to share what I know with you.
Experience the extraordinary story of a man whose life was sculpted by the wisdom of a legend.
Dad always said to me, he says, Brian, you can be, do, or have anything you want. in this world. And this program is all about that. It's about being, doing, and having more. Just more, whatever that is for you, whatever's important for you.
What kind of a house do you want to live in? What kind of a business do you want to have? What do you really want?
I feel that this program really carries on the message of what my father was about, what he taught. It's important to me to deliver that same message, but in my way. I certainly will never feel like I can be like my father. I will not fill his shoes by any means. But I think I can certainly share what I've learned from him, how it's affected me. And I think by doing that, I can show you how to live a better life.
If you're not getting the results you want, your way obviously isn't working. Why don't you try ours?
We have to take ownership of what's going on in our life. If we're not living the life we want to live, if we're stuck, if we're in a place that we don't want to be, it's up to us to change it. Nobody else is going to do it for us.
Do you know something? You're sitting there watching this and you're thinking, by God, I'm going to change something. When are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? You've got to create a sense of urgency. I'm going to do it right now.
It's time to create the life you've always dreamed of.
I'm Brian Proctor. This is Proctor's Principles. I do know how fortunate I am to call Bob Proctor my father. This is my way of sharing that privilege with you.
See it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand.
Thank you for joining me today on this special edition of Born to Win. I hope this message caused you to stop, think, and ask yourself what you really want. And more importantly, what decision you may already know it's time to make. If you're ready to go deeper with us, lifetime access to Proctor's Principles is available right now, but only until July 5th. You can enroll at www.brianproctor.com/more. And of course, we'd love to have you join us live and in person in Toronto from August 25th through the 28th. You can save yourself a seat by going to www.brianproctor.com/Toronto. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, success isn't about luck or timing. It's about alignment. You were designed for success, built for expansion, and born to win. I'll see you next Monday. Until then, think big, trust yourself, and keep growing.